Nick, Old Man Licata, born Niccolo Licata. Italian pronunciation, Nico, modifier letter vertical line L, Latin small letter open O Li, modifier letter vertical line Ca, modifier letter triangular colon T, February 20th, 1897, October 19th, 1974 was an Italian-American mobster who was the boss of the Los Angeles crime family from 1967 until his death in 1974. Early life. Licata was born on February 20, 1897 in the small Italian town of Camporeale, in Sicily, although his surname may suggest family origins in Licata. He was the son of Calogero and Vita, and had 6 brothers and 2 sisters. According to his records at Ellis Island, he boarded the Sant'Anna in Palermo at age 16 with $25. On December 5, 1913, Licata arrived in the United States and joined his brother Leonardo in Brooklyn. He later legally anglicized his first name to Nick. During the 1920s, Licata became involved in bootlegging in Detroit during the Prohibition era. He eventually became a made man in the Detroit crime family. He left for Los Angeles after offending its boss, Joseph Zerilli. He endeared himself to LA boss Jack Dragna, who was able to convince Zerilli to call off a murder contract on Licata. He was accepted as a member of the LA family and became close to Dragna's brother, Consigliere Tom Dragna. On March 25, 1932, Licata became a naturalized citizen. He resided in Inglewood and owned several apartment buildings, including the one he lived in. Licata owned barrooms and operated as a bookie and loan shark out of a hangout on La Brea Avenue in Hollywood and a cafe club called the 5 O'Clock Cafe at 216 East Angelino Street, in Burbank. He was arrested once in 1945 for refilling liquor containers. Soldier to boss in 1951, Nick Licata provided a tight alibi for Aladina, Jimmy the Weasel Fradiano. The night Fradiano gunned down 2 LA rogue stick-up robbers from Kansas City, Anthony Brancato and Anthony Trombino, known as the Two Tonys. Licata held a fish fry party at his 5 O'Clock Club Burbank restaurant, and other guests and a waitress testified before a grand jury that Fradiano and his associates were at the restaurant the entire night. Fradiano, Licata, Charlie Batts Battaglia, Angelo Paolizzi, and Leo Lips Moseri were all arrested, but none were charged for the crime. It wasn't until Fradiano became a FBI government witness over 25 years later that the belief of the LAPD was confirmed. In 1952, Jack Dragna promoted Jimmy Fradiano to Caporegime captain. To pacify Licata, who was the more logical candidate, Licata was allowed to work directly under Dragna. Licata made good connections with Mafia families in Detroit, Dallas, Kansas City, and New Orleans. When Dragna died in 1956, Frank Desimone became the new boss of the family. He named Licata his consigliere, who was a popular choice among the younger family members. When Desimone's underboss Simone Scazzari was deported to Italy in 1962 for being an illegal immigrant, Nick Licata became Desimone's underboss. When Frank Desimone died of a heart attack, Licata became new LA mob boss with no opposition in 1967, and he made Joseph DiPolito of Upland, California, his underboss. By this time the Los Angeles mob family was a lot different from the one Licata first started with. The LAPD and FBI was engaged in a tough assault against organized crime in Los Angeles, and Mafia families from other cities were stretching their power to the West Coast. Although seen as an improvement over the incompetent Desimone, Licata wasn't able to do much to help his family. On July 9, 1969, Licata was taken into custody after refusing to answer questions at a federal grand jury session about LA's crime syndicate structure. Although Licata was under immunity from prosecution, he refused to give Judge Jesse W. Curtis Jr. any information, which would have violated the Mafia's oath of omerta. He was held in contempt of court and eventually served 6 months in prison. The court was looking into the murder of Jules Petro, which was committed by Ray Ferrito, and the Apalachin meeting attended by Licata's predecessor Frank Desimone. Licata also refused to acknowledge that he succeeded Desimone as head of the crime family. Personal life and death. Licata eventually was back in good standing in Detroit. In 1953, Licata's son Carlo married Grace Tacco, the daughter of Detroit Cooper Regime William "Black Bill" Tacco. Licata attended the wedding in Detroit. Officer Jack O'Mara found the wedding invitations with members of Detroit's and LA's crime families on them while carrying out an arrest warrant on Licata. He illegally took them, showing the police's determination to bring down organized crime in California. Licata's son-in-law Frank Stellino was also active as a made man in Los Angeles during the 1960s and 1970s. Licata spent his last days at St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica. After battling illness for some time, Licata died on October 19, 1974, 9 months after his underboss died of a heart attack. Licata was survived by his wife Josephine, 4 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. He was buried in Culver City at the Holy Cross Cemetery. His funeral was attended by 150 people. One newspaper described him as a true godfather in every respect. Notes. References: ellisisland.org. Alleged LA Mafia chief goes to jail. The Spokesman Review. July 10, 1969. p. 6. Retrieved September 10, 2009. Nick Licata dies. Headed LA area Mafia for 6 years. Los Angeles Times. October 21, 1974. Pages A3. Nash, J. Robert World Encyclopedia of Organized Crime. Reprint, Illustrated ed. DeCapo Press. 1993. ISBN 0-306-80535-9. Retrieved on May 22, 2009.